Hey, what's up everybody? 3D Theory here. So in this video we're going to talk about the Creality CR-10 Smart and the Creality CR-10 S5, and I want to give an update on both machines. Hey, by the way, if you're new here to the 3D Theory channel, we're all about 3D printers and 3D printing fun props. If you're interested in these topics, then consider subscribing and click that notification bell to get notified when I upload new videos. Let's get started. Overall, the Creality CR-10 Smart here has just been an awesome machine. In the beginning there were some issues with the extruder, I had some issues with the hotbed, I had to completely replace the screen here, but all of that was for free. Creality Official provided it. When I reached out to their support team, they were quick to respond and asked me some questions and had me do some troubleshooting, and once they found out that it wasn't working, they ended up just sending me an extra part that they felt was necessary. Be sure to check out some of my older videos on the Creality CR-10 Smart and you'll see some of the changes I had to make as I talked to Creality Official. The Creality CR-10 Smart has just been a beast for me. I was able to print out the green Goblin here, which came straight off my Creality CR-10 Smart, which I ended up having to print in pieces, and you could see the journey I took in making this in some of my previous videos. So please go ahead and check those out if you want to see the journey in getting this green Goblin printed out and finished. And the second most recent big project that I had was this really cool laser blade from Lightyear. I ended up again printing it out on the Creality CR-10 Smart and painting it and finishing it and even adding some electronics in there if you could see that. These weren't the only two things I printed out. I was able to print out a multitude of things, selling a handful of my Dark Thrones that you can see in my Etsy shop linked in the description below. Since my last review of the Creality CR-10 Smart, I've had just a couple of small minor issues. One of them being the need to switch out these wheels down at the bottom. No matter how I twist it and turn them, I'm still getting a little bit of bed wobble, but nothing too extreme, and I was still able to print out the Lightyear laser blade just fine. It looked great. But I know that maintenance is going to be coming up pretty soon. And the second thing I had to change out was the silicone sleeve for the nozzle there, and also the nozzle itself. The silicone sleeve had just gotten really hot and molded itself around the hot end and the nozzle. So I had to kind of go in there with a pair of needle nose pliers and just kind of take off that silicone there and order another batch. That wasn't too hard, it was very quick, and I was able to replace it pretty easily. I remember when I was first about to buy the Creality CR-10 Smart, I was really thinking about, is this the right machine to get? You know, there's a lot of complaints, but I've also seen videos where the print quality is just out of this world, and I just said, you know what, I'm gonna get it because it has automatic bed leveling, it has the Z support bars in the back there, and there, and I just thought to myself, you know what, this is the machine for me. It also looks really cool, so I went ahead and I got it. And initially it was a bit of a headache. I had to continually contact Creality to get the issues resolved, but everything was resolved for free, and it was just such a good process. I ended up getting a better machine than I ever thought I would get, especially for the price that I paid. I think it was on sale when I was buying it, and I've seen it go even lower now from Creality Official. But if you do decide to get from Creality Official, you should know one thing, and that is I haven't had a successful return. In the very beginning, I was trying to return the Creality CR-10 Smart and they just wouldn't have it. Rather, they wanted to walk me through and just fix the machine and see what the problems were, and just kind of fix it that way, as opposed to return it. And you know what? At the end of the day, this is probably one of the best machines I ever printed on so far. I've had 3 machines. I've had the Monoprice Mini Delta V2, which was right there. I ended up gifting it to a family member to make space for the Creality Hallet, which is a resin 3D printer, which you'll be seeing coming up in future videos. So make sure to subscribe and click that notification bell so you get notified when more videos come out about 3D printers and also resin 3D printing. And overall, that's about it. There weren't a whole lot of maintenance things I needed to do with the Creality CR-10 Smart here. It's just been an awesome machine for me. I've been really enjoying it. Again, there was some issues in the very beginning, but I had purchased it from Creality Official and their support team is really cool. Just don't expect any returns. I haven't had a successful return myself, but if you do intend on getting the Creality CR-10 Smart and staying committed to it and kind of seeing it through to a really good functioning machine, then by all means, this is the machine you want to get. And the print quality is just fantastic. I really love the Creality CR-10 Smart print quality. The Monoprice Mini Delta V2 was a great, very beginner 3D printer, and I was getting some good results. And then when I saw what the Smart was printing out, I was just blown away. Not only that, but on the Creality CR-10 Smart, I've printed out an entire prototype table. This is something that I'll probably be talking about later in the future when it's ready to be discussed, but it's an entire table that I printed out in pieces on the Creality CR-10 Smart, and it just took it like a beast, and it's still working really good. The only thing that I had to adjust since I first got it, which I never had to adjust before that, was the Z offset. With this new software that I had downloaded for my new screen here, when Creality sent me the new screen, it had the option to adjust Z offset. And so adjusting the Z offset was a new thing I had to start doing with the Creality CR-10 Smart. I noticed that the first layer was printing too thin, and therefore I had to raise up the Z axis so that I would have a better first layer and subsequently a better print overall. During that time, I had to start using a hairspray, and it worked really well. It was a really good smelling hairspray. I just got it and sprayed it one little coat over the bed, and it held the prints really well. I'm not sure if during that time the hotbed here just kind of stayed dormant for a little while and picked up some dust. I usually clean it with my yellow cloth. I usually get this yellow cloth and I clean it out. But maybe it just had stayed dormant for some time and you know, gathered some dust, and the print wasn't sticking as well as it used to. This thing required a hammer for me to take it off, and I got a video on that, so you can go ahead and check out that video where I literally needed to take a hammer to one of my prints to take it off this new print bed, because this thing really stuck really well. But for some reason, when I was printing out some stuff, I noticed that I had to use hairspray to make sure that the print stuck onto the print bed. And here's an example of, you know, I have tightened the wheels on the bottom, and I'm still getting some wobble of the print bed, and I think that maybe just the wheels have worn out over time, and because I always get some residue down at the bottom here, down there on both sides, and I think it's the wheel that's constantly rubbing up against the railing and kind of wearing away at the wheels and creating residue. And I noticed that earlier I forgot to mention, when I said I had the Monoprice Mini Delta V2, the third printer that I've worked with is the CR-10 S5. And this is that massive 3D printer that Creality made. It has a 500 by 500 by 500 millimeter print area, which is one of the biggest print areas you can get for the price. I think I paid about $750 for this, and I was just completely allured by the size of this thing. So here's the glass bed for the CR-10 Smart, and you can quite literally just fit it off to a corner here, and you got so much more space, as you can see here. And the Creality CR-10 Smart is considered a large format 3D printer, so this must be an extra large format 3D printer. But I have to be honest, the Creality CR-10 S5 has not been friendly to me. It's the first 3D printer which had adjustment knobs at the bottom, which allowed you to manually adjust the bed leveling, but it also has a BL touch, so it kind of gives you the best of both worlds. But I've been having trouble with it. I assume that this bed is slightly warped, because no matter what I do, no matter what I try, one part of the bed will print really tight. The nozzle will go up really tight against the bed, while the other seems like significantly looser. I have started some really good prints on this, but for the lifetime I've had this, which is about a few months, and I've only tried it for probably 3 weeks worth of time in those 3 months, because I didn't open it for the first month. I've had issue after issue after issue after issue with this machine. I am hopeful that this thing will print out some really good prints, and I got a really cool project on the way that I'm going to be using for the CR-10 S5, and I'll talk about it towards the end of the video, so please make sure to stick around so you can find out what that cool new project is. I think you would be interested. I was having a lot of issues with the CR-10 Smart, and one of them was that I didn't know which voltage to set the power box at, and I think I had fried some of the components on the inside. Basically, I had it at 230 volts, and I needed to switch it to the US standard, which was 115 volts, which you could see in my unboxing video for the CR-10 S5. And because I left it on 230 volts, I am assuming that the hotbed chip, the module that comes in the power supply over there, completely burned out. And you can see it in these pictures here. And down towards the bottom there is the new hotbed module that Creality Official Support sent me completely for free, which is really cool. But as you can see there, the hotbed module just completely burned up. It started leaking black toxic, liquid or whatever that was, burnt plastic for all I know. And it was releasing a lot of toxic fumes. And you can hear me talk about it in my unboxing of the CR-10 S5, and that was a really big problem at the time. So with that, I contacted Creality official and really just was completely honest with them, brutally honest, and saying that I really want to return this machine. I'm very unhappy with it, and they just wanted to fix it. And that was the first time where I really was just annoyed by Creality official, and I still haven't had a successful print with this thing. Since then, I've replaced the hotbed chip, or they call it the hotbed module, in the power supply here, and I think this thing will print very well. I've had a couple of prints that I started with this thing, and the beginning of the prints looked fantastic. They looked really high quality. I'd even say it was comparable to what the Creality CR-10 Smart was printing out. So I'm very excited to see what this thing can do. Now this thing usually comes with a glass bed, and there is a glass bed under there. However, I purchased the PEI sheet and I've applied that magnetic strip onto the glass bed and then also put that PEI sheet onto that magnetic part. I just wanted to always have a surface where it was reliable and that I didn't always need to use glue or hairspray for. And I think that PEI sheet did the trick. I'm still waiting to do a successful print on this thing from beginning to end. And I think this next project that I'll be doing is going to be that successful print that highlights and showcases what this thing can do. Before I can do that, however, I need to make some changes in this room. So I have my big workbench here that has the Creality CR-10 Smart on it, and I have my dedicated bench for the S5. So when I try to go in and turn those knobs down at the bottom of the CR-10 S5, as you can see there, that knob is really tiny. It's so small that I have a hard time twisting it down at the bottom there, especially when the machine is jutted up against this wall. I get my hand down there and I'm hitting this thing and it's just not convenient at all. Same for the back, I gotta reach and I'm hitting the wall and I can't really reach it because it's way down there. Same with that side and this side. So what I have to do is I have to move that table over here and push this big workbench up against the wall there. And that way I can have more room over here to kind of stick my hand around and adjust the knobs as needed when I need to do that and get a really good print on that CR-10 S5, which I know it can do. I've seen videos where people use that and print out really cool big pieces on that machine, and I'm just really excited to get that going. My goal was to print out the Lightyear laser blade on this thing, but I just couldn't get it to work. And there was about a month span where I was constantly troubleshooting this thing and I couldn't figure out what the issue was until I took some pictures of the innards of the power box and I sent it over to Creality, and they saw that the hotbed module was completely fried. And so they had to send me another one, which took 2 weeks. And therefore I ended up printing it out on the Creality CR-10 Smart, and it did a fantastic job. This machine came through. So since the hotbed module has been replaced and everything is ready to go, all I gotta do is switch these two tables around, and I have a really cool project that I'll be talking about now. And that is, if you guys have seen Andor, I really fell in love with what is known as the Starkiller helmet in the back that seems to have just a bunch of swords coming out of the back of the helmet. And I really love this thing. Now there are models online that was featured from the original content, which I think was in a video game, but I really love this live action version of Starkiller's helmet. And so what I did is I went ahead and I 3D modeled Starkiller's helmet with those swords, and I intend on printing the Starkiller helmet from Andor all in one go on the Creality CR-10 S5. However, I will be printing the swords that are on the back of the head on the CR-10 Smart. But my goal is to get one helmet printed out on the S5 all in one go. And I'm gonna give it a try with that Starkiller helmet, and I can't wait. So please be sure to subscribe, click that notification bell, click that like button. You'll be notified when new videos come out, and I can't wait to share that experience with you guys. Until next time, peace, love, and joy. By the way, if you want to watch more videos about 3D printing fun props and 3D printers, then check out the playlist that pops up on the screen.